everybody that's involved about opening another one that's large, that can take care of a lot of our neighbors. And so this morning I called Angela Blanchard, who is the CEO of Baker Ripley, formerly known as Neighborhood Centers, and asked, can we get a shelter open at the NRG Center in NRG Park that can handle 10,000 people? And she said yes. So today the staff here at the county EOC and the people working at Baker Ripley, the people working at NRG, and all sorts of volunteer organizations were beginning to make plans. And this afternoon about 4:30 I called Ms. Blanchard again and said, can you get it open by 10 o'clock tonight? She said yes. I've just come from there. It is remarkable, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The Baker Ripley team they're professional, and they're used to welcoming people into our community, so they were eager to help our neighbors. I might add that the team, the Chief Strategic Officer who works for Angela Blanchard at Baker Ripley is former Mayor Anise Parker. So she is now out at NRG along with Angela and her team. Then, understanding that we need all the expertise we can possibly get when it comes to operating these types of shelters, I contacted former Judge Robert Eccles and former Mayor Bill White and asked them if they would help, and they both were eager to do so. Judge Eccles is at NRG right now on scene and has been helping them prepare. Then we dispatched a group here from this Emergency Operations Center who had been through large shelter operations in the past. One obviously very notable that was in the Astrodome, to make sure that everything was done. So I can't thank Judge Eccles and Mayor White enough for once more coming back in and pitching in to help. It's what our community is all about. So I went out there quickly, also went home, got some changes of clothes, and I walked in, and seldom am I just completely blown away, but it is remarkable. They have a couple of hundred volunteers in place, they've got the security in place, they've got hand-painted signs welcoming their neighbors. We have teenagers, a group came forward and said, we want to set up a children's play area, so the children's play area is going to be set up. We've got a pet area for people if they want to bring their pets, and we've all learned that there are folks that won't go unless you're willing to take their pets. And the professional team that runs NRG is all out there. Even groups like the Livestock Show and Rodeo have pitched in. Their headquarters are in that same building. And so volunteers are coming in, and they are, officially it opens at 10 o'clock, but they are ready to receive our neighbors right now. It's truly amazing, truly amazing. What's the purpose of this shelter? Sometimes we forget. And in this case, is to provide a safe place for people who have not only been displaced from their homes, but they've had a miserable few days. And so it's a place of security, and it's more than that, it's really a place where these people can begin to plan to return to normalcy. So shelters are obviously never the ideal place to be, but we now have this, and so I'm announcing that it is opening at 10 o'clock, and that's really what I came down here to talk about. The other shelters need to remain open. We have plenty more. This might not be the last shelter that's open, but it's the largest one. And I don't have enough of these to pass around, but to give you an idea of what they've done out there, they've already got their little diagram of what goes where, and their dining hall is set up. But to be able to walk into a place like that and see all those cheery volunteers, a lot of young people there who have come out and are willing to help. And this is a place where I'm using this to make an announcement to county employees. For those county employees who cannot do their normal work and their supervisors don't have specific things for them to do during their time off, this would be a perfect place to go sign up and be a volunteer. We need all the help we can get, particularly as we get close to filling it with 10,000.
All right, we've just been hearing from Harris County Judge Ed Emmett. We're unable to listen to his microphone right now, but here's the really good news. The judge is saying the NRG Center will open tonight as a shelter that can handle up to 10,000 people. That is very fast. He said he spoke with Angela Blanchard, who's a former head of Baker Ripley. I know, Angela, I've done events for that organization. They know how to do this. He said to her, can we go to NRG Center? Can we make it a shelter? And oh, by the way, can we open by 10 o'clock tonight? And her response was yes, yes, and yes. So, and he also said they're going to have a play area and a pet area if you have pets. This is phenomenal. Explain NRG Center. You're familiar with it.
Very familiar with it. And, you know, I think that's so great, not just having the Children's Center, but also the area for pets.
Yeah.
Because as he mentioned, you know, there are a lot of people, that is their family.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, your dog, your cat, that is for so many people like their children. And there are people out there who will not leave their homes because they're afraid there's not a shelter. Okay, apparently we have audio back, so let's go back out to Houston Trans-Star and County Judge Ed Emmett.
Tonight, and we wanted to go ahead and get it open tonight so that they wouldn't have to go one place and then be transferred to another place. And that's it opened far faster than we anticipated, and all credit goes to you know, Baker Ripley, which was formerly known as Neighborhood Centers. Our team here, you know, the planning section of our Emergency Operations Center, to be able to say, yeah, we'd like to open a shelter for 10,000 people at 10 o'clock tonight. Can you get that done? Yes. FEMA was here, and they have things en route, and they're doing their job. But they had not anticipated being able to do it this early. So again, county staff said, okay, we'll take care of it.
As for the Texas Army Corps, the Texas Army National Guard, will they be part of this too, or what resources will be going into this shelter and when?
Well, there will be some National Guard elements out there to help run the shelter. I mean, anytime you're talking about a population of this size, you need all the help you can get. And so there are some teams that are specific to shelter management that will be there to assist, because this obviously will be ongoing for a little while. And I must say, the city of Houston, some of Mayor Turner's people initiated this a few days ago by contacting FEMA and saying, can you come down and can you help us stand up a new one? And it was only today that the county said, okay, we can't wait, we need to get this open. And so we've been coordinating with the city on this, but this is one that, since it's a county property, we just went ahead and did it. Yes.
From what you've heard from Judge Echols or Mayor White, what are some of the greatest lessons from the same operations post-Katrina 10 years ago?
Well, this is so totally different from Katrina. Main thing we've been talking about is where do you get help? What kind of things do you need to pay attention to? Don't forget, the Katrina situation was people who were relocating. They were out of their city. They were out of their homes. They needed a whole different type of care. These are our neighbors. These are people that I guarantee the vast majority of them want to get back into their own homes as soon as possible. And so we need to help them be comfortable and help them do that. And they're in their own community. So we were talking a lot about those types of things. And of course, one of the problems that I thought was going to be a bigger problem than it turned out to be, so many volunteers themselves are in dire straits in terms of water surrounding their houses. So it was a truly humbling and gratifying scene to walk in and see all these people, and they're smiling. They're eager to help their neighbors, and that's what this is. These are people that are eager to help. And so it's open at 10 o'clock. Actually, if a busload of neighbors show up, they're ready to receive them now.
Speaking of, what are the logistics for folks who are currently at overcrowded shelters making their way to not Reliant NRG now? Is there a system for moving folks?
There is, and this is where Metro has come in and stepped up really big time. They're providing buses, and so what will happen, the various shelter managers, if they're woefully overcrowded, can contact Metro, and we can begin to move some of those people over to NRG. Yes?
Those young people that are watching right now who may wonder, well, how do I get there? How do I enter the facility, parking? Can you address that, or any advice for them?
You mean somebody coming on their own?
On their own?
Yeah, they enter off the McNee entrance, and you pull up to, I'm sure they'll tell you where to park. Law enforcement was there. And there's an entrance for volunteers, and then there's an entrance for what Angela Blanchard and Baker Ripley, they call guests or neighbors. Either one of those terms works, but these are our guests or our neighbors, and they come in a front. As soon as they come in, they register. They walk down a little corridor. They're processed, if you will. And then they're brought into the dining hall and shown where the other facilities are.
Is the Red Cross there? Do you need supplies donated there?
We would love to have supplies there. The Red Cross, if there are people there, I'm not sure, but this was, the Red Cross is pretty much overwhelmed. And so this is, at this point, no, it's not a Red Cross operation. This is a county Baker Ripley operation.
Who's providing the funding for this?
At this point, FEMA, we are, Red Cross supplies. If you haven't noticed, and donations, clearly, the operation we have is one we just go out and you take care of your neighbors, and you figure out how it's all going to work out later on. We've just got to get people safe and secure.
What kind of donations are you needing with the opening of this new shelter? Are there any more volunteers? We heard from George R. Brown.
Volunteers are always good to come out, and I would add, different places have different rules. Since the schools are out, I'll go ahead and be a proud grandfather. I've got 2 granddaughters out there that are teenagers, and they're helping register people and with the children's area. We can use all the help we can get. And of course, anytime you start talking about this number of people, donations are useful, whether you're talking about, hygiene products or children's clothes. Think about this. Our neighbors not only are out of their houses, but how much of their stuff could they bring with them? how many sets of clothes do they have? So all of those things are needed, and hopefully this is a warm, welcoming environment. Nobody likes to be in a shelter, you know, sleeping right next to all kinds of people, and we've got family area, they've got family area, men's area, women's area, and so it's like I said, I was pretty blown away when I saw just what that group could do.
Is there a phone number that maybe people watching now might be able to call to kind of, you know,
We'll post it on Ready Harris.
We'll post it on readyharris.org. Like I said, this thing got stood up in about 5.5 hours.
So would you recommend that people go there instead of the GRB?
Yes,
Even if they have medical needs?
yes,
So there will be medical help there for people?
yes. Now, if you're talking about severe medical, I mean, you know, if you're just talking about, and in fact, there's nearby, there is a more serious medical shelter that hopefully people would know about. If you were being referred by a doctor and they would send you to this other area that we're not really publicizing a whole lot because, you know, we don't want people to use that as an ER.
And Judge, you were saying this is the largest shelter to open so far?
Yes.
And it was put together in a matter of just 5.5 hours?
Well, the planning started this morning, but when I said, how long would it take you to actually set it up, Ms. Blanchard and the team at Baker Ripley said 6 hours. And I said, can you do it by 10? And she called me and about 8:30 or 9 and said, we're ready.
So talk about the spirit of Houstonians, always willing to help, always there to open hands, help out what they need.
You know, we see it over and over and over, whether you're talking about rescue, and rescue is so much more dramatic, if you will, and high stress. The purpose of a shelter is to lower stress. It's to say, look, you're safe. You know, we've got you.
People want to know if they want to donate or volunteer, they just show up, is okay? Is that okay?
Volunteers can show up, and it's on the west entrance door. It says volunteer entrance.
Judge, talk a little bit for a moment about just sort of what you're feeling in this moment, because when you were answering that last question, you inhaled a little bit, and it was like you got a little, I don't know if it's sleep deprivation or if it's,
Well, there is some of that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, in times of a crisis like this, everybody's all focused on, like was said, you know, it's high stress. And so to be able to call an organization like Baker Ripley and put them together with the county professionals that I can't say enough about what they've done, and to work with the city certainly played a role in this too, and then to be able to go out and see people who are smiling and they're happy and they're ready, and I know there are going to be some long nights, but they all understand, and Ms. Blanchard made it real clear that we don't have evacuees. They're guests or their neighbors. That's the only term that will be used out there, because everybody knows the circumstance. But at the end of the day, these are all our neighbors, or they're our guests, because you know, there could be some that come from outside of Harris County who got stranded here. And you know, to be able to warmly welcome people and to take care of them and to have that number of volunteers, I mean, that's just overwhelming. It really is. So I'll probably go back out there sometime during the night just to see how it's going. And by the way, some of the volunteers called, and I want to thank Mayor Turner for adjusting his curfew, because we're going to open at 10, and some of the volunteers were going, well, gee, there's a curfew. And I called Mayor Turner, and within a matter of minutes, he had adjusted the curfew to exempt volunteers and to exempt people who are seeking shelter, and to make it 12 to 5 instead of starting at 10 o'clock. And another example of, I think, the city and the county being able to work together. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.